In the high-stakes arena of international politics, where power dances with diplomacy, can a single act of public humiliation reshape the global landscape? The answer reverberated through the halls of the Global Sustainability Summit when former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton directed a pointed critique at Ibrahim Traoré, the revolutionary president of Burkina Faso. Clinton, a seasoned stateswoman with decades of experience, stood in stark contrast to Traoré, a young leader who seized power promising to dismantle neocolonial influences. Their encounter ignited a diplomatic firestorm, leaving the world on edge. As the summit in Geneva became the epicenter of this clash, the question loomed: would Traoré's response escalate tensions or pave the way for a new chapter in international relations? The world held its breath, awaiting a reaction that promised to be nothing short of speechless. Hillary Clinton, a name synonymous with American political power, carries the weight of decades spent navigating the intricate corridors of Washington and the global stage. As a former First Lady, Senator, and Secretary of State, her experience is unparalleled. Known for her sharp intellect, unwavering determination, and mastery of policy, Clinton has been both admired and criticized for her assertive approach to global affairs. Even out of office, her influence remains a potent force, shaping discussions and driving agendas on issues ranging from human rights to economic development. Her words carry the authority of a stateswoman who has witnessed history unfold and played a pivotal role in shaping it. In stark contrast stands Ibrahim Traoré, the young and charismatic president of Burkina Faso. Rising to power through a military coup at just 34 years old, Traoré embodies a new generation of African leaders determined to break free from the shackles of neocolonialism and corruption. He seized control promising radical change, vowing to redistribute wealth, strengthen national sovereignty, and prioritize the needs of the Burkinabe people. Seen as a revolutionary figure by many, Traoré has quickly become a symbol of hope and defiance for those who believe in a more equitable world order. His fiery rhetoric and unwavering commitment to his ideals have garnered him both fervent support and fierce opposition, making him a controversial but undeniably influential figure on the African continent. Geneva, a city renowned for its neutrality and its role as a hub for international diplomacy, played host to the Global Sustainability Summit. The summit, an annual gathering of world leaders, policymakers, and activists, was designed to foster collaboration and innovation in addressing the planet's most pressing environmental and economic challenges. The atmosphere was intended to be one of optimism and cooperation, with participants engaging in constructive dialogue and forging partnerships to advance sustainable development goals. However, the air of collegiality quickly dissipated as Hillary Clinton took the stage. The summit, meant to be a platform for unity, transformed into a battleground of ideologies. Clinton's presence, while anticipated, brought with it a palpable tension. Her reputation as a staunch defender of established global norms clashed with the revolutionary spirit that Traoré represented. As she began her keynote address, the atmosphere shifted from hopeful anticipation to uneasy apprehension, setting the stage for the diplomatic clash that would soon unfold. The weight of history and the complexities of international power dynamics hung heavy in the air, casting a shadow over the summit's intended purpose. During her keynote address at the Global Sustainability Summit, Hillary Clinton, while ostensibly addressing the critical need for good governance and transparency in international development, strategically shifted her focus to deliver a pointed and deeply critical assessment of President Ibrahim Traoré's leadership in Burkina Faso. Her words, though couched in diplomatic language, were laced with a palpable sense of disapproval, effectively transforming what was intended to be a collaborative forum into a stage for public rebuke. Clinton began by acknowledging the aspirations of young African leaders, seemingly offering a gesture of goodwill. However, this veneer of support quickly dissolved as she launched into a detailed critique of Traoré's policies and governance style. While we commend the ambition and energy of emerging leaders on the African continent, she stated, her voice carrying a tone that many interpreted as condescending, We must also remain vigilant against the seductive allure of populism and the potential erosion of democratic institutions. True leadership demands more than just revolutionary rhetoric. It requires a steadfast commitment to the rule of law, the protection of fundamental human rights, and the consistent application of sound governance principles. She then turned her attention to specific concerns regarding Traoré's administration, questioning the legitimacy of his government and raising doubts about the fairness and transparency of upcoming elections. The strength of any nation lies in the integrity of its democratic processes, Clinton asserted, her gaze seemingly directed at President Traoré, who sat impassively in the front row. When those processes are compromised, when dissenting voices are silenced, and when the will of the people is subverted, the very foundation of that nation is at risk. Clinton didn't shy away from addressing the issue of human rights, a particularly sensitive topic for Traoré's government, which had faced accusations of suppressing political opposition and limiting freedom of expression. The protection of human rights is not merely a matter of political expediency, it is a moral imperative, she declared. Governments must be held accountable for upholding the rights of all citizens, regardless of their political beliefs or affiliations. Her remarks were punctuated by carefully chosen phrases that carried a weight of historical context and political significance. She spoke of the dangers of authoritarianism, the importance of checks and balances, and the need for transparency in government, all subtle but unmistakable criticisms of Traoré's leadership style. The impact of Clinton's words was immediate and palpable. A hush fell over the audience as the realization dawned that this was not merely a friendly exchange of ideas but a deliberate and calculated act of public shaming. The atmosphere in the room shifted from one of hopeful collaboration to one of tense anticipation, as everyone waited to see how President Traoré would respond to this unprecedented attack on his leadership. The world stage, it seemed, had been set for a dramatic confrontation, with the future of Burkina Faso and its relationship with the international community hanging in the balance. As Clinton concluded her scathing critique, a palpable silence descended upon the room. President Ibrahim Traoré, seated in the front row, maintained an impassive demeanor, his expression betraying nothing of the emotions churning beneath the surface. The audience, comprised of seasoned diplomats, policymakers, and global leaders, remained stunned, unsure of how to react to such a blatant display of diplomatic aggression. Within minutes, the internet exploded with a cacophony of reactions. Social media platforms became battlegrounds for contrasting opinions, with supporters of Clinton praising her for speaking truth to power and holding Traoré accountable, while supporters of Traoré condemned her remarks as an act of neo-colonial arrogance and unwarranted interference in Burkina Faso's internal affairs. The hashtag #HandsOffBurkina quickly gained traction, trending worldwide as individuals from across the globe rallied to Traoré's defense, decrying Clinton's perceived disrespect and demanding an end to Western meddling in African affairs. The digital sphere mirrored the tension in the room, amplifying the controversy and setting the stage for a potentially explosive international crisis. The world now holds its breath, fixated on the impending response from President Ibrahim Traoré. His reaction to Clinton's public humiliation will not only define his leadership but also set the tone for Burkina Faso's future relations with the international community. Traoré faces a complex decision, fraught with potential consequences. He could choose to dismiss Clinton's remarks as the irrelevant opinions of a former politician, opting for a path of dignified silence. Alternatively, he might issue a formal condemnation, denouncing her interference in Burkina Faso's internal affairs and asserting his nation's sovereignty. However, some speculate that Traoré might take a more drastic approach, potentially severing diplomatic ties with the United States or forging closer alliances with rival global powers. The stakes are undeniably high. Traoré's response will send a powerful message to the world, signaling either a willingness to engage with Western criticism or a defiant rejection of external influence. His decision will reverberate far beyond the borders of Burkina Faso, shaping perceptions of African leadership and redefining the dynamics of international power. The world awaits, knowing that Traoré's next move will be a defining moment in this unfolding drama. The aftermath of Clinton's humiliation presents several potential paths for President Traoré, each carrying significant implications for Burkina Faso and its relationship with the global community. Diplomatic condemnation. Traoré could issue a formal statement, sharply criticizing Clinton's remarks as unacceptable interference in Burkina Faso's internal affairs. This approach would allow him to assert his nation's sovereignty and rally domestic support, but it could also strain relations with the United States and its allies. Economic retaliation. Traoré might respond by implementing measures to reduce Burkina Faso's dependence on Western aid and investment. Seeking closer economic ties with China or Russia could signal a shift in geopolitical alignment, but it could also alienate traditional partners and create new economic vulnerabilities. Populist uprising. Clinton's words could ignite a surge of anti-Western sentiment within Burkina Faso, leading to widespread protests and demonstrations. While Traoré could capitalize on this wave of nationalism to consolidate his power, cracking down on dissent and restricting civil liberties would further isolate his government on the international stage. Silent treatment. Traoré might choose to ignore Clinton's remarks entirely, refusing to dignify them with a response. By focusing on addressing the pressing economic and social challenges facing Burkina Faso, he could project an image of strength and resilience, but he would also risk appearing indifferent to legitimate concerns about governance and human rights. As the dust settles from Clinton's unexpected broadside, the world remains suspended in anticipation, awaiting President Traoré's next move. His decision, whatever it may be, promises to send shockwaves through the international community, reshaping alliances and redefining the boundaries of power. Will he choose defiance, diplomacy, or calculated silence? The answer, when it finally arrives, will undoubtedly leave the world speechless, forever altering the course of this unfolding geopolitical drama.